I am Donny Vomit, and this is Little Miss Firefly. And we are part of the Sideshow Entertainment and the Pretty Things Peepshow. I host the show. I started the show about 2.5 years ago. I met Amy through Coney Island. She had Heather Holiday was working for her, and I spent 7 years working in the sideshows in Coney Island, and was offered the chance to go on the road with Amy, and jumped at the chance to go from being in a stationary show to being in a traveling show. And I get to host the show and hammer nails in my face, and juggle knives, and play around with a lot of pretty ladies.
That's awesome. So what's been the most fun part for you so far?
I enjoy the travel. I like being able to go from place to place. Recently we just got back from doing almost 2 weeks in Australia. We're planning on going out to Europe a little bit later on. The chance to travel to strange places and different places and getting paid for it is pretty good. I enjoy doing that.
That's awesome. What about for you? How did this start for you?
I started doing sideshow about almost 10 years ago. It all started with a history project. I was born and raised in Denver, Colorado, so there's not a lot of sideshow out in there, in that area, and we're doing World War II and the history, and I wanted to do something different and didn't want to do about all that other stuff that I can't think of right now. My teacher gave me this book, and it was one of Warhol's books. I don't remember the name, but I read it, and I fell in love with it, and I just started Googling names, and I found Warhol, World of Wonders, and Coney Island a sideshow. But other than going Coney, I went towards Ward because Ward's show, in my mind, I've done Coney Island recently. Warhol show is traveling fair show, and it's the exact same, almost like dating girl with time. The show just stayed that way. We sleep in the back of a semi-truck that we hauled all the tents and the stakes and the props and the stage, and they put up the banner lines every day, and that's where I learned most of my art.
Yeah.
But I left. I stopped doing his show because being on the road like that is really, really hard, and this show is different, but it's not that hard being on the road. I met Amy in 2007. We did another show together, and we were at Ozfest. Craziest time in my entire life. Our first show together, we saw a car fire. There was a geyser in the middle of the stadium because our tent old stakes hit the water main. Don't know if it was sewage going in or out. The critters trying to eat Amy's feet. I don't. And people thinking I'm her child, and I have a cigarette and a martini in my hand, carrying me running to different stages to see the bands.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. So tell me who some of the people are who kind of helped you, along this path.
Working in the sideshows, you run into a lot of people that do the same type of stunts. There's some great people out there, like Todd Robbins is an old sideshow performer that helps me out a lot. Actually, me and Heather Holiday, we kind of learned everything at the same time, so we helped each other out. Back and forth learning all this stuff. A lot of the things that I learned were almost self-taught in the first part, like learning how to juggle. That's something I taught myself how to do when I was much younger. But learning the stage presence and learning how to perform on stage is something that got better through help of other people and help of just repetition over and over and over again. In the summers I was working over 500 shows a year. So it really got you trained up pretty fast.
Yeah, that's great. What about you? Kind of the same thing, or?
I'm a theater kid. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to entertain people. Even before I knew, I grew up in an average size family, so I didn't know I could be short. They just kind of didn't tell me. They didn't make my house wasn't changed. There's stools everywhere, but I thought that was normal.
Yeah.
And they never really made any reference to me being small. So I grew up in theater, but I always knew I wanted to do something different. And I wanted to do Broadway originally. I wanted to be a dancer on Broadway and some musicals, and I still love musicals, and I go see, Amy just took me to my first actual Broadway play, Phantom, last year, and I cried because I was so happy. But when I found out there's a height requirement to be on Broadway, I was devastated, but I also remember the book and Googling people, and when I turned 18 is when I started learning things. I knew how to fire breathe because my uncle lived in Hawaii, so I do fire, but not as great as Heather does. I kind of stopped because of fuel. You just don't know what it's going to do, so I stopped that, and I started working on my glass act, which is my baby. I enjoy.
So excited. That's awesome. I know for me, sometimes in my craft, I need an escape from it. Do you have an escape from that, or is this kind of your escape from real world? Okay.
It feels the physical and emotional pain.
That's awesome. Is that legit?
No.
That's the real one?
No. We do have a couple drinks on the road, but...
while driving, right?
No, that's coconuts.
Okay.
That's true. We're very responsible group. But what is the escape?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's such a strange thing to make a living doing this show, and when things are good and things are going well, it's so much fun. I don't want to escape from it.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds a little hokey, but it's the truth. Is like it's much better to stay in the moment of the tour as long as things are going well.
Sure, yeah.
Because you want to enjoy it while you can. Because in 6 months when we're back home, in about 2 weeks I'll be itching again to get back out on the road.
Yeah, that's great.
I started this show. I was May of 2010. That's right. A year and like a couple months for me. But I did a stable show in Vegas, and it killed me. I liked doing the show. The Vegas show was awesome, but I like being on the road, and I was just like, and the repetitive of that show was it turned into a job. And I've always told myself, once this turns into a job, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
And I hated looking at it like it was my job to do the glass escape from the street jacket, but doing a traveling show. And Donny said, this is my escape, because when I go home into the reality of where I live, in 2 weeks I want to be right back on it. Or I just start sewing, and I just sew and ask myself, what would Go-Go Amy do? And just no, literally October I was making my glass outfit, and I was screaming at the time, what would Go-Go Amy do? And my mom was like, who's Go-Go Amy? I'm like, you meant Go-Go Amy. And she's like, oh, Amy. I'm like, yes. Like, and I broke her sewing machine doing it. It's an old one. She said it needed to be oiled again, but it stopped. I was like,
that's hilarious.
My fallback, to escape from my reality, this is it.
Yeah, that's
my
great.
Reality is a little bit different than everybody else's.
Yeah. Exactly. That's cool. Well, to wrap it up, do you guys have some crazy story or something you're proud of, or something you want people to know about you, or kind of leave your mark on the interview? A lot of people like to tell some, like, the craziest thing that's happened to them on stage, or
we have every night is crazy on stage.
Yeah,
if you want to see some crazy stuff, that's what the entire show is built around. So come out to the show, see it. You'll walk away seeing something you never thought was possible, and you will not believe your eyes.